Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of FFB from the 50, where we tackle every issue from both sides of the field, brought to you by JDP Media. I am your host, Dan Amsler, and another week is in the books. Let's take a look back at the week that was, take a look ahead at the week that will be. Alright, week 14 is in the books. For most leagues, the playoff has started. We'll start this week. I wish you all the best of luck. Hopefully you're in that championship hunt. So here's some news, notes, and injuries that you need to know going into the playoffs. All right, quarterback news. Kyler Murray, unfortunately, is going to be out for the remainder of the season with a torn ACL that he sustained in the game on Monday Night Football. Looked pretty bad from the get-go. Definitely a non-contact injury. Went down, immediately knew that there was something wrong with his knee. Put the towel over his head and was in clear distress on his way off the field. Lamar Jackson is still not practicing this week due to his injury that he sustained. We will see if he's able to return to any sort of limited basis this week. We'll see. Marcus Mariota has been downgraded and is now missing in action for the Falcons. It is Desmond Ridder time in Atlanta. And Russell Wilson is in concussion protocol for the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson was running for the end zone, was tackled, and his head came down and hit the ground funny. Was definitely woozy and unable to make it off the field under his complete control. Other quarterback news, both Mike White and Brock Purdy are limited in practice so far this week, but both should be likely to roll. All right, wide receiver news. We're going to start with a double whammy for the Cincinnati Bengals. Both T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd are considered day-to-day. T. Higgins was banged up going into this week's matchup. However, he did not put up a single point. He did see the field, was immediately removed, crushing a lot of hearts. So T. Higgins, definitely day-to-day. I would roll with caution if you have him. Tyler Boyd dislocated a finger and is also considered day-to-day. That's one of those things that you have to have if you're going to play wide receiver. So keep an eye on both of those two injuries for the wide receiving group there in Cincinnati. Deebo Samuel looks likely to miss multiple weeks with a high ankle sprain. But he was in a lot of distress too. I think ultimately the injury looked a lot worse than it was. I think Deebo was afraid it was worse than what it was. But now is not a good time to be losing him. So I've made it into the playoffs. I have him as my wide receiver 1 in the league. I am scrambling to try to find a replacement. DJ Moore is also considered day-to-day. His production has definitely increased without Baker Mayfield there to hold him down. But if you're relying on DJ Moore, you're probably not making it to the playoffs anyhow. Devontae Parker is also in concussion protocol after a hit on Monday Night Football. I don't know about you, but watching that game, I felt like the Arizona Cardinals and the New England Patriots needed to have a triage center on the field. It seemed like every other play there was either a penalty or a player getting injured. It was pretty rough. Speaking of that game and moving on to running back news, Ramondre Stevenson may miss multiple weeks with an ankle injury. That's another injury that looked absolutely gruesome when it happened on the field, but it sounds like he may be able to return before the season is over. I was counting on Ramondre in one of my leagues that I've made in the playoffs as well, and I'll be looking for a backup plan there. Dameon Pierce has helped a lot of teams who drafted him low and have made the playoffs with him, but it looks like he's going to be out weeks 15 and 16 for the playoff push. Make sure you have a backup plan for your RB1 or RB2 spot if you are counting on Dameon Pierce. And the other running back news, Jeff Wilson is questionable with his hip injury that forced him out of Week 14's game. All right, folks, so here we go. Going into the playoffs, Week 14 is in the books. Let's hope that you play in a league where Weeks 15 and 16 are your playoffs. I know a lot of folks that think that there is that having that game in Week 15 makes it all the more special. More fantasy football, more football is good. The problem with that is once you get to that championship game, what you don't want is trying to figure out which players are going to play, which ones are going to be sitting the bench because they've already clinched a playoff spot. So as for me, I kind of like doing it this way. I do have one other league where we're still rolling. But hey, if you're curious, 3 out of all 3 leagues that have been decided so far at this point, I'm in the playoffs. I am the number 1 seed in 2 of them and the number 2 seed in 1 of them. Looks like that 4th league I'm going to miss the playoffs. That's the one that I travel to Ohio to. And I've just had too many injuries to overcome. Not trying to make excuses, but this is a very real concern to fantasy football players. Speaking of Ohio, I am traveling back to visit Adam and Teresa this week. Be expecting some really good fireside chats with them. One of the things we're going to talk about is our Skank Squad and our Hero Squad. If you remember a few weeks back, I asked you to go down to the comment section and nominate some players for those two squads. The Skank Squad are the players that have let you down the most this season. The Hero Squad are those that you had low expectations for, but have greatly exceeded those expectations and help carry your team. Go down in the comment section. Let me know who you'd like to nominate for those. Also, Adam and I want to do another segment where we give players coal in their stocking or fantastic presents, very much like the Skank Squad. But it doesn't have to necessarily be players. It could be anything pertaining to the NFL, anything pertaining to professional sports. So make sure you stay tuned to that. That should be highly entertaining. If you have not done so, go down there, click that like button, and more importantly, hit the subscribe button. YouTube absolutely loves it when people like, subscribe, and comment on videos. They will grab this video and they will help me promote it, so please do that. Hey, that's all I got for you this week. Until next time, see ya.